Anyways, slipped out a little bit there. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're going over a Jeep Grand Wagoneer Series 3. First and foremost, though, a huge shout out and thank you to the National GMC here in American Fork, Utah, for giving me some time with this Grand Wagoneer. This one is available for sale for the time being, so I'll include a link to their inventory in the description down below if you're interested. And then on a side note, if you're gonna save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below as well. Let's get into it. Under the hood, we have a naturally aspirated 6.4 liter Hemi V8 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 13 around town and then 18 on the highway, with power outputs being 471 horsepower and then 455 pound-feet of torque. There will be an engine change for the 2023 model year to a turbocharged inline 6, so if you want a V8, you have to get a 22. Now let's go to the front end of the Grand Wagoneer. So first off, you guys can see here with the hood, pretty much flat there in the center, and then it kind of falls off on either side. We've got the Wagoneer logo here, front and center, and then you guys can see with the brushed finish on the trim over Jeep's signature front grille. And then here's a quick look at the lights. So we do have a daytime running light there at the top, and then there's kind of like a little bit of carbon fiber inlay inside, which is pretty cool. Fog lights down below, and then you do have parking sensors there on the front end. And then you guys can see the tow hooks and the rest of the trim there at the bottom all has the same finish as the grille. And there's the front. Coming around the side here, our tire and wheel setup is 280, 540, 522 in the front and over in the rear as well. And then you guys can see here with the design on the wheels, nothing too crazy, kind of like a normal luxury car looking wheel, but it does say Wagoneer there in the center, which is pretty cool. Now this does come with air suspension. I have it in the off-road 2 ride height setting, so you guys can see what this looks like when it's all stretched out. Notice the fender flares are body painted. We have our Grand Wagoneer logo there, and then notice the trim here around the whole window, and each window is like separate, which is kind of interesting, but you still have that brushed finish on all the trim. And here's your full side view. Now here is our key fob for the Grand Wagoneer. We have our unlock function or lock function, remote start, the drop down for the air suspension, and then the opening here for the hatch. And yeah, pretty cool looking key fob overall. Now this is just the regular Grand Wagoneer. For the 23 model year, you will be able to get an L version, which will be longer, similar in size to like a Suburban, for example. This is more like a Tahoe. But anyways, notice here we've got our 12 volt, and then you got the controls here to fold down the seats. So for the second row, you can just fold them down. For the third row, you can fold them down and raise them up. So notice I can do this and goodbye seats. But now we have tons of storage space, and this carpeting back here is like very thick. It's the best way to put it. You guys can see that. Anyways, storage space underneath. And then when you are done, you can just press this again, and then the seats will automatically raise all the way back up. And when you're done with the rear, just press this. Bada bing, bada boom, bam. Now let's finish things up with the rest of the rear for the Grand Wagoneer, and you can see with that brushed trim how that kind of goes all the way here to the rear. Got our Grand Wagoneer badge, and then here is a quick look at the taillight switch. I've actually been a pretty big fan of since the release of this. Parking sensors here at the bottom. We've got our Quadra Drive 2, and then it says Series 3 there on the other side. Bezel that covers the receiver hitch there at the bottom, and that's the rest of the rear. Now here's the door panel in the back. We've got beautiful leather trim pretty much all over the door panel. You can see the stitching that goes throughout, and so yeah, definitely really nice from a trim piece perspective. We do have sunshades here for the rear passengers, and then notice the windows are automatic. Speaker for the Macintosh sound system, which sounds amazing. And here's the seat setup. So you can see here with the leather seats, and notice the brown stitching and the piping. And then we got this cool kind of like quilted design there in the center of the seat. And let's pop in. So we've got the little TVs here in the back, and apparently it comes with Fire TV, which is pretty cool. But you can see it's a little touchscreen, and basically passengers can use it to watch movies. But notice that we have our own climate controls back here. So for example, I can turn on my air conditioned seats. Got the climate off here in the rear, but you have heated and cooled seats in your own climate zone, which is definitely fun. Some cup holders, and then we have a center console here. And yeah, tons of storage space inside. And here's a better look at the seats. And then what you guys will notice here is even on the grab handles here in the back, you've got like leather and stitching. Really nice interior overall. It's just funny, like all the stuff that they throw leather on. We do have some vents here in the back. And then down below that, we've got some USB ports. And then you guys can see the whole outlet setup. Now, as for the third row, I've gotten back in that third row a million times before. You've got nice trim here where you can rest your arms. So you've got leather trim, USBs, cup holder, all that stuff. You can move the seats forward. And then the seats themselves look really nice. They've got tons of space here, so you can fit adults back there very comfortably. They even have their own sunroof there in the back as well. So just tons of luxury features overall. Let's head to the front. Here's the front door panel. You can see with the leather trim there at the top, and then notice with the contrasted stitching all down below. And then we have all of our adjustments here for the seats. We do have massaging seats as well. Memory seats, all that fun stuff. Automatic window controls. Adjustments for the mirrors. The mirrors do power fold in. They also have blind spot monitoring. And then you guys have probably seen the power side steps throughout the video. It's cool how they look flush with the bodywork. So like when they're folded up, they're painted on the outside so that you don't notice them. And well, here's our front seat. So same beautiful design as the rear seats, perforated, quilted. Padding on these seats is very top notch. Love it says Grand Wagoneer there on the side and then Wagoneer down below. Pedal layout right there. And then we've got our parking brake right here. Light controls, pedal adjustment, steering wheel's power adjustable. Let's pop in. So here is our steering wheel for the Grand Wagoneer. Really nice leather trim all around. You've got the stitching there in the center portion. Gear limiter, this is for the steering assist. This also has adaptive cruise control. Radio controls are on the back of the steering wheel. Controls for the center stack, phone controls, and then you've got your turn signal stock, and then your windshield wiper stock, and there's the steering wheel. Now here's the gauge cluster, full digital gauge cluster, and notice it says we're at maximum with the suspension. You can scroll through a few different menus to see different bits of info on the vehicle and on stuff like the radio, fuel economy, which you guys can see what this has been averaging so far from a fuel economy perspective. This does come with fun stuff like the map view, night vision, all the normal vehicle stuff, right? But overall, cool digital gauge cluster. Now, we do have some different drive modes. So first off, we have a sport mode. That shows the Wagoneer in sport. And then you got the snow, sand and mud, and then you have a rock mode as well. And the different drive modes will adjust the suspension accordingly. Now you guys can see the whole massaging seat function popped up right there again. You just press the little button there on the side, and then it'll bring up the menu. But popping it into reverse, we do have a full 360 camera system. So we got trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel, and you got a bunch of different camera points. I love how it tells you like the viewpoints are like all labeled, which is kind of interesting. But overall, really good camera system. As for the rest of the infotainment system, it's kind of dark, but you got the shortcut bar here at the bottom, which lets you go into the different menus. Notice we can like pop out the steps. You got the surround view. I can turn the passenger screen on or off if I'd like. And notice with the headrest fold for the third row, because you always got to be able to smack your kids in the back of the head. Also, you've got actual like buttons here on the side for the heated and cooled seats, so you can just basically press that and that's your shortcut to it. And yeah, that's the screen. So we've got analog controls here for the climate system. Again, you've got the duals on here for the front. You have the rear climate, and we have 2 million USB ports literally. And then also there's a wireless phone charging pad inside. And you guys are probably wondering, how do I close this? Well, there's this button right here that you press. And yes, we have yet another screen where you can control stuff like the climate system and all that. Yeah, definitely interesting. And we have 1 screen, 2 screen, 3 screen. So 3 screens up front, which is pretty crazy. But when you're done, you can just press that and then it'll fold it back. And then you guys can see here with the auto hold, and then lane departure, stability control, hazard lights, parking assistance, parking sensors, tow haul mode, and that is for the passenger screen there off to the side. Drive mode select, and then this is for the 8-speed automatic transmission, little gear selector, air suspension to raise and lower it. This does have 4-wheel low, and then you get your off-road cruise control. And notice we got this covering here over the cup holders, and then look at the trim here on the side for the center console. Definitely high quality. We do have a refrigerator center console, always a nice feature, and pretty normal glove box actually. Love how it says Grand Wagoneer right there, and they got nice leather trim all over the dash. We've got the camera mirror as well, and then popping up top we do have a panoramic sunroof here for the front. So we have 2 different sunroofs inside. Controls for the sunroof right here, and then you guys probably noticed nice premium headliner. It continues there under the pillars. Like everything that you touch and look at pretty much in this interior is definitely Nice looking. So here's our window sticker for this Grand Wagoneer. You guys can see the base MSRP, $107,995. And before I go over the total MSRP, I do need to mention this is a pre-owned vehicle, so this is not the current pricing on the vehicle. The pricing of the vehicle will be whatever the market is on them. So if you want that, just go look at National GMC's website in the description down below. Night vision. Standard equipment, but pretty much everything is standard with the Series 3 package. Sorry about the lighting on this, is absolutely horrible, but notice that there's a couple of options, including those pesky California emissions. Wah, wah, wah. Total MSRP $114,930, and then notice with the warranty, 5-year 60,000 mile on the powertrain, 3-year 36,000 mile on the basic. Let's see how it drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's your visibility of the hood, and hopefully you can see the heads-up display now. And then both the mirrors are still blind spot monitoring throughout the rest of the rear. And let's set off. So, setting off here in the Grand Wagoneer, and it's been a little bit of time since I've driven one of these. I'm gonna pop the suspension down into the normal setting now, because that's what you're, gonna have it in when you're doing regular driving. And I forgot how nice this interior is. It's seriously like a sleeper when it comes to nice interiors, because I'm not trying to insult Jeep, but like when you look at this on the outside, you don't think it's going to have an interior as nice as what this has. It's crazy, because this interior, in my opinion, from a material standpoint, is nicer than the Cadillac Escalade interior and the Lincoln Navigator interior, even though Lincoln just did their whole refresh basically. This still has just nicer material use throughout, and just more nice materials, if that makes sense. Anyways, slipped out a little bit there. Gotta love V8 Hemi power. It is just fun, and it sounds great. And that's one of the big benefits of this version of the Grand Wagoneer, the 2022 Grand Wagoneer, is the fact that you have a V8. Yeah, the fuel economy probably will be a little bit better with that new inline 6, and I'm actually interested to see the... Wow. So this is actually better from a suspension standpoint than the Escalade. That's interesting. Anyways, yeah, it might get better fuel economy, but it won't sound as good, and simplicity with this engine, right? It's a big, naturally aspirated V8, which you can't go wrong with that. And so yeah, I definitely think that you're going to be missing out a little bit with the inline 6. And I don't think this is ever really going to be a collector's car, but I think that, like, in 20 years from now, just like how people look for the big V8 versions of like the Suburban, the half ton, what is it, not the half ton, like the 2500 version of the Suburban and the Tahoe, people are gonna do the same thing with this. They're gonna be, but with the 6.4 Hemi. People gonna be like, oh, you have an inline 6 one? Ah, that ain't worth anything. Oh, you got the 6.4 Hemi Grand Wagoneer? Oh yeah, I'll pay all the money for that. So yeah, overall, super smooth ride, really good luxury SUV. The only downsides to this, in my personal opinion, is just the exterior styling and the fact that you can't get a new Hemi anymore because they're going to a turbocharged inline 6. So this one obviously has the Hemi V8, but yeah, maybe Jeep will do some sort of like stylistic tweaks just to make this look a little bit more unique. I mean, like, look at the National GMC has like every vehicle ever. So you guys can see, I've got a couple of these new body style Escalades. Like, that looks really good and distinctive, whereas this doesn't really look all that much different compared to the regular Wagoneer. And like I said, the exterior hides the fact that this interior is this nice. It's pretty crazy. But anyways, that's all. That's gonna sum things up for our video on this Grand Wagoneer. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to the National GMC here in American Fork, Utah for giving me some time with the Grand Wagoneer. Check out the inventory in the description down below. I'll see you.